Could it be that unemployed graduates like William and David have been applying for jobs the wrong way?
And for every person, there are 3 hurdles that stand your way in your quest to land your dream job. First is to know people or to get a recommendation from somebody. Indeed, the SWAL modus operandi for getting jobs has changed. If you were still floating application letters and CVs in companies, you probably were using a very failed approach already. Often you'll be told to leave with a security officer, and that's where it ends.
This approach has made employment seeking unfair. People like David and William compete for the small vacancies with others who have connections to people with power in the corporate world.
So we'll be pretending if we said we didn't know that people are trying to get jobs through their priests, through their MPs, through ministers they know, through chiefs. Basically, anybody you know who has influence. So I'm not going to sit on national TV and pretend that those pressures do not come. But the question is, how many of those people can you even serve? And then what happens to the many people who don't have any link to anybody, who don't know any big man? Because even the people who know the big men, they are not getting jobs.
This puts many in vulnerable situation. William tells me how many people have asked for sexual favors just to recommend her for an interview.
He said I should meet him at Sugar Coffee. So one morning around 9 a.m., I packed, took a handbag, and then straight to Sugar Coffee. When I got there, he said I should meet him in his house. And this is a big man who was so rich and can get me a job. When I got there, he said I should wait for him in his room. And I was wondering, there's this myth about rich people. What if he used me for some ritual or something? But the quest for job, I went there, putting all my energy, taking all the risk. So I went to the room. When I entered, a very big suit, I saw a gun on the bed. Then my inner person was like, today is today. If I don't die today, I won't die again. So he came in and he just had a morning coat kind of on. And he was totally naked beneath that. So he just took it off and was like, make me feel good. And I'm like, God. At that point, I started shaking him. I asked him if his daughter is in a condition like mine, if he'll be okay. And he sat there on the bed, still lying down, that I should just make him happy and I'll get the job. He can get me the job. If not, I should just leave. And I said, okay, I'll just leave.
With such disappointments, many get frustrated and give up the search for a job in the formal sector, leading to more graduates searching for jobs in the informal sector. That is why the Ghana Statistical Service says that 71% of the total workforce is in the informal sector. Others who do not have the means to create their own businesses will have to fall on family for support. But this comes with its own problems.
Yeah, how can an unemployed graduate ask for more food at home? Yeah, so there are some times that you have to go out and find your own food. And as a man, it's not always advisable to stay home for someone to feed you. You have to find your way out. You have to do many things. The Kpakpakpa movement. Do everything to feed yourself or find your way out.
There are, however, concerns of the mismatch in the skill set of the Ghanaian job seeker and demands of industry.
There are also sometimes jobs, but you don't have the requisite talents to fill those roles. I've worked on roles for about probably more than a year, where I've had to source from abroad because the company wanted a certain kind of talent that I couldn't find. I interviewed scores of people. None of them met their competency framework. Eventually, we had to source from the UK and US.
The Ghana Statistical Service reports that 6.3% of job seekers during their waiting periods upgrade their skills. Likewise, William enrolled in a master's program after a year of job search.
After school, I tried to get a job in the school, but I was asked that I can only proceed if I get further study, like master's degree. So I think it was the drive for my decision to go directly back to school right after service.
Even though it took a year after the master's program to get a job, she's excited with the gains she has made.
You know, when you've never been unemployed, when you talk about getting a job, you wouldn't understand. When you have a job just right after school, sometimes you will get there and you think it's because jobs are there. So I value my job so much. Like, I put it before anything. I'll just tell you, my job is, because I don't ever wish for anyone to have a degree and not be employed. It's really frustrating.
David has also learned how to drive and is now a boat driver. But unlike Wayram, he still hopes for a salary job one day.
I learned driving and went for a driving driver's license, and I started this job at the latter part of last year.
How has it been going so far?
Yeah, so far so good. It's been well to put something on the table, but not something for the future.
If you say not something for the future, what do you mean?
You can't build a house with both money.
Just like David, a good number of job seekers are unable to venture into businesses that will be sufficient for their needs. He captures the frustrations of the Ghanaian unemployed youth in these few words.
The future. The future is opaque. I mean, I've been driving around and I see a lot of desperate youth trying to do something for themselves. Hard work doesn't pay.
Doesn't?
No.
At all?
At all.
At all. What pays?
Smartness, they will tell you to use your brains.
But employers are hopeful that with the right government interventions, their demand for labor can match the supply for labor.
I think a proper assessment needs to be done of agencies that are still on government subvention. Look at how many of those people can be weaned off government subvention. And then at the end of every year, maybe I'm expecting X amount based on the assessment I have done, which you must pay to the national kitty. That will be your contribution. That is what you are paying by way of dividend to the shareholder, which is government of Ghana. Employ as many people as you want, pay them as well as you can, run your operations as efficiently as you can, but know that at the end of every year, you are paying us so much.
Enable the private sector to grow. Make the process of access to finance easier. Make the process of registering new companies easier. Make the processes of starting small but thinking big easier. Allow us to, and then the private sector will grow. If the private sector grows, they will employ.